Good morning. This is the how-to using the student information in your packet that you'll be receiving in the mail. So inside the student folder, you're going to find some Play-Doh, and in there, I want you to be working on rolling and making snakes, pounding and making pancakes and cutting them out. This is going to strengthen their hands. This is going to develop the arch in their hands, which is essential for this pre-handwriting that we're working on strengthening. There will also be crayons in there. My mother-in-law and father-in-law, they soaked them, took the wrappers off, meticulously cut them in half, and sharpened them so that everyone has a pack of crayons the correct size. They should only be using 2 fingers in sensory, such as shaving cream, pudding, that sort of thing, or using broken crayons or no larger than a golf pencil. Anything larger than that will be too heavy and throw off their ability to use a dynamic tripod grasp. We really want to get these 3 fingers, the thumb to stabilize and these 2 fingers to work in tandem together. Nothing's more important than tracing and working with these 2 fingers, making sure the students can make vertical and horizontal lines, can do circles and triangles and rectangles and squares. When they are really solid tracing with 2 fingers for their shapes, then you can go into using a little crayon and see if they can trace their shapes, or a little marker or a little pencil, something small. Chalk is wonderful. So work on those sorts of things. Also in the bag is going to be a Ziploc bag of numerals. The green set is 1 to 20. The back side of the teal has shapes. The front side has 1 to 20 using a 10 frame. Please remember that when you're utilizing these 10 frames, remember that you can make 3 a lot of different ways. I have a blank 10 frame in their packet, so when you're working on what numeral 3 is and how many 3 is, have them find how many different ways they can make 3, how many different ways they can make 7. It's a wonderful activity for families to do together. There will be a Ziploc bags for capital and lowercase letters, and the capital and lowercase letters together. On the back side, some of the students will have some rhyming cards in pink that they can start listening to that phonemic awareness of sounds. There will be a Ziploc bag that has some purple and lavender, and then also in some packets there'll be some pink as well. The lavender packets are for numerals with the representation using dice. And so we worked a lot with 10 frames. We looked a lot with tally marks, but we had yet to really utilize our dice. Dice is a wonderful way to learn numbers. For the morning class, we're really focusing on 0 to 5. Afternoon class, we want them solid to 10, but if they can get to 20, even better. Once they recognize how many in the numeral, then you or your student can cut them out and turn them into puzzle pieces. The same for the alphabet one that's more in a pink color. It has a capital, a lowercase letter, and an icon that represents the sound that letter makes. The most important part of the student packet is this heavy-duty sheet protector and what's inside. I do have some packets that are laminated for our pre-K students for practicing, I believe, letters and numbers. Here is a 10 frame, and you can slip it inside that sheet protector and figure out how many ways you can make 3, how many ways you can make 4, 5, all the way up to 10. You can also, the most important thing starting with our 2 fingers is being able to trace within these googly squiggly lines. If they can trace with 2 fingers and even a marker or a dry erase marker, then they're ready to see how they do with tracing shapes. And if they, upside down, if they are able to do the shapes easily with 2 fingers, they can move to a crayon or a marker or something likened to that. But keeping it within the shaving cream and making it with 2 fingers is the most important. Also, there are, for those kids that are ready, there are numbers and numbers to 10, or numerals to 10, numerals to 20, and alphabet letters, capitals, lowercase letters, and capital and lowercase together that they can trace, or you can just use them as a visual reminders, and that sort of thing. There's also graphs for counting to 5 and counting to 10. Lots of questions in our Pocket of Preschool materials that work on that. There's also in green, we have our letter hunt for capitals, lowercase, and we also have a numeral hunt and both the lower and uppercase together, and a numeral hunt to 10 and a numeral hunt to 20. Typically for our morning kids, the 3 and 4-year-olds, they're just working on identifying numerals to 10. Afternoon class, we're hoping that they can get up to 20 before the end of this year. There's also a little writing packet. And when I say writing, I mean that I want them to be scribbling and then as they get a little bit more proficient, making Map-Man. That's just circles and straight lines. Circle for the head, kind of an oval for the body, and short and long lines for the arms, fingers, hands, eyes, all that sort of thing. There's the Map-Man video you can watch to remind them how to do that. But inside this little writing packet, whatever level that they're on, whether it's scribbling or actually drawing Map-Man in stories, there's little cards that they can send to friends or family. There's also a little journal that they can keep. And on the journal, we'll have them draw a story, hopefully with a person themselves with all the Map-Man features. And then they can tell you about that story and you can write it below. Some of the students might want to pretend to write by scribbling or writing letters or even some letters in their name and such. And there's also within this little writing packet, there's also some little books, thematic books on, this one has school supplies, animals and things on a farm. Within it, you can color it, you can use markers, watercolors, whatever you might like. There's also a writing packet that I did two-sided and it didn't turn out very good, but it's on cardstock, so I left it. It's also great for cutting or drawing on. And inside the blue, where it says list and there's a little binder clip, this packet has things that I would love for when they finish for you to make a photo and send it to me. This one is my friends. I would like for them to draw their friends using Map-Man features. Circle for the head, oval for the body, short and long lines for arms and legs and such. And then they can name who that is. For the older kids, they can do hair and things that remind them the color of their hair. I wish this was in white, but all I could find at the preschool was blue that day. Favorite colors, favorite sports. Paxton, I know you're going to want to put some Seahawks things in there. Put Mr. Russell Wilson, number 3 in there. Favorite places, my family, favorite foods, so forth and so on. Just had them practicing drawing using simple shapes, starting with lines and circles like Map-Man and moving forward with more elaborate drawing when they're able, which will be when they're older. For the afternoon class, they have their yellow book. That's what we use for writing. And when I say writing, remember, we're asking them to draw. We're asking them to draw a Map-Man to represent themselves and hopefully include an action or a place or all of those things to tell a little story. Little narrative stories is what we want. For them to be able to orally tell us that story and to be able to represent that with simple shapes. So if something happened out in their backyard, they can just draw a person using Map-Man features, and then they can make a triangle for a tree, or they can make a circle for a ball. Just a circle and a little circle and big circle for dogs. Just very, very simple shapes. Just using those basic shapes is how we want them to draw. And then have them tell you what that story is, and you can record that below on the lines for our afternoon students, those pre-K kids heading to kindergarten. Everybody will also have a placemat. You can use that on your 3-ring binder because that'll be their little workstation working on their tummies. Don't have them sit at a table with their legs dangling. They won't have any trunk control and will have no use of these little muscles. Lay them on their tummies with their elbows down with that wrist in extension. Then when they're holding that crayon, they can actually use a tripod grasp at first using their wrist, and over time use a dynamic tripod grasp because they'll be able to use these fingers in tandem. and making sure they use those squirt bottles and shaving cream in that bathtub every night. That'd be a great way to practice it. Some of the students also have name puzzles where their name is at the top and then the puzzle pieces for their name are below, for the students learning how to put their name in order, some of those 4 and 5-year-olds. So I'm hoping that these materials are something that you can utilize in your family. I'm hoping that the parent materials are something that will help you just quickly use a choice board and know that you're doing something to help your kid, when in reality, it's just giving you ideas of how to play with your kid. That's how preschoolers learn. If you have any questions on how to utilize anything within your packet, please let me know. Also, you are not required to use anything in the packet. I just made these materials in hopes that it would help you. But if it's overwhelming, keep the packet, save it for next year, save it for summer, save it for whenever. They'll get to it eventually. And the most important thing is for you to stay calm and not be overwhelmed or stressed. So this was intended to make things easier, not worse. So you be the judge as to whether or not how to utilize it for your family. And again, any questions, just contact me. Thank you for all you're doing. I miss those guys, and I want to be able to assist you in any way possible. Have a great day.